Business Scene.
Hey everybody, it's Brittany Harlow with BNN here for another episode of the Business Scene on the Tulsa Scene podcast. A little bit about me. If you're just tuning in for the first time, I run a social news media hybrid called Verified News Network. You can find more information about that online. We are really overjoyed to be taking part in this podcast because at Verified News Network, we love all things business. And so we're not only keeping you in touch with business news all over Green Country and Oklahoma, but we're also connecting you with actual business leaders, small business owners, entrepreneurs. Wow, just joining us is my co-host, Kelly Tidwell. Kelly, where you been?
Sorry, I've been a bit tied up.
What you been doing?
Are we recording?
Yeah, of course we're recording. We're going at it. What you been doing?
Working.
No. I was going to mention that because I didn't know when he would arrive here. Kelly Tidwell, our co-host of the Business Scene, has been out battling robots, right?
That's right. Playing a graphic card, and I'm having literally no luck on a GPU anywhere in the world. So
they're pretty hard to find right now, and so that is kind of perfect. Our guest today, Jim Heron. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your industry, Jim? Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Yeah. So my name is Jim Heron. I work for a company called CamTech. We're a full service IT support company. So very familiar in terms of fighting the Bitcoiners of the world and trying to find the graphics cards and all the different specifications that go along with it. So I'm definitely very well in lockstep with you in terms of that frustration. And oftentimes it's, you're reaching out to the client and letting them know that, hey, this is available. We need to jump on it now. And then 2 hours later, you remember when I said we need to jump on it now? So I get it for sure. But no, we handle a lot of things from obviously, kind of the general IT support. My computer's not working. Call us before you throw your computer monitor through the wall. We help with cybersecurity, data storage. I mean, kind of we can be as big or as small as whatever the company needs from us.
Jim, what's your typical company size? You work with smaller folks, you work with large organizations. What's kind of your ballpark market?
So again, just kind of because we can be, kind of as big or as small, there are situations where we work directly with the director of IT at a 200-person company. Yep. And he or she just doesn't have the bandwidth to manage all of the general IT password resets, things like that. But then there's also situations where, we're working with 6-person law firms where they just don't have the ability to be able to make sure that they have the 7 years of storage or whatever's legally required of them. And then, obviously so there's manufacturing firms, there's dental practices, there's a lot of different needs. And especially with this era that we live in, even with the cryptocurrency and the Bitcoin miners, the technology is ever present. And so we can kind of come in and be that helping guiding force.
Perfect. And honestly, it's impossible not to see and or address that elephant in the room, which is how much everything has really changed this last year, nearing on year and a half.
For sure.
So I would imagine and assume, even though I really hate to do that, but that your industry has really kind of not necessarily skyrocketed because tech is always so, ever present, but probably a lot more people reaching out to you than you've seen in the past. Is that about right? Or
yeah, so it's interesting. So I had actually spent 8 years of doing IT headhunting prior to joining CamTech. And when I joined CamTech, it was in February of 2020. So needless to say that it was a perfect timeline in terms of coming in and really truly drinking from water from the fire hose. Nobody was doing hiring anymore, but everybody was trying to figure out, I'm working remotely. What does that look like? How do I need to, manage? And now we're at a situation where, like you said, it's been a year and a couple months or a year and a month now. Companies are kind of trying to figure out, well, what does that look like from a long-term plan? Do I continue to have my employees work remote, or am I trying to bring them back? And then when I'm trying to bring them back, what does the infrastructure look like? What does the flow look like? How can I better utilize the space? And so it's been incredibly busy for us. We've had more, onboarding hours and things like that this month than we've ever had in the past. But, that with that, we're also kind of seeing that there's other IT companies that have perhaps cut corners on things and not necessarily using the just best general practices in terms of doing something as simple as updating your operating system, updating software, things like that take 5 minutes. Some companies aren't doing, or they're trying to cut the corner on. And so we're able to kind of provide more value to them and give them that holistic picture, because my biggest emphasis, and one of the things that I do on our Facebook page, is I want to educate our audience, because if I feel like if I've educated you and you understand what it is, you're that much more likely to understand what we're doing and where we're coming from, as opposed to, well, I've got an IT company, I'm good.
Now, you mentioned that obviously, Missteps, failing to update your operating system.
Right.
What do you think is the biggest misstep that businesses are making right now in regards to technology? It's a hard one, I'm sure.
Yeah. There's a number of different things that they are and aren't doing. I understand it's a frustration, and I understand that, when you call your IT support company and you roll your eyes when they say, have you restarted your computer recently? It's like the dentist asking if you've flossed. There's a reason behind it. The reason that we ask if you've restarted your computer is because certain times, like I said, the operating systems need to update. Certain applications that are open in the background that you thought you closed are still running. So that could be the reason why your computer is slowing down. I mean, there's a multitude of, kind of backside stuff. But honestly, what I'm seeing now is a lot of companies start to take a more appreciation for that cybersecurity side, because as we spoke about for the last 13 months, things have changed, and cyber attacks have increased 600% from February of 2020 to today. Wow. And that's because they know everyone's at home. And when you're home, your filter isn't necessarily up as high as it needs to be. So that user error threat is becoming more prevalent. And so now we're seeing a lot more companies trying to take a better ownership of it to better address it and not have it be something that they're having to pay $15,000, $20,000, whatever it is in cryptocurrency, before they can get their company files back.
Now, and again, this is kind of hypothetical. Feel free, obviously, to mix in your expertise. But okay. Given how things have changed, with people going virtual and now people are getting vaccinated, there's a lot of talk about things going back to normal. But seeing obviously how much people have leaned on that technology and how maybe this has been a very eye-opening experience for a lot of people in regards to technology and what is capable by using technology. Do you ever see things going back to the way things were? Or do you think that kind of this scenario of being so virtual has really kind of set a new normal as far as businesses using technology is concerned?
So it's really honestly just dependent on that owner of the company, the president of the company, the CEO of the company. There are people that feel like they need to have, be able to see over them and make sure that they're doing the work that they need to be doing. But there's other people that are able to see, okay, these boxes are being checked from my own personal management checklist. I can trust that this person is going to handle the things they need to do. I think that a lot of people are adapting to different ways to communicate. No longer do you need to hang out in someone's office to have a conversation. You can message them over Google Hangouts, Google Meets, Zoom, Teams, whatever inter-office platform companies are starting to use. So it allows for that concept to really, be as dynamic as company, be as invasive or be as virtual as company needs it to be, excuse me.
And so, of course, either way, people like you, businesses like you, there to help, whichever way they're deciding to.
Absolutely. When they want to figure it out, I'm happy to go out there and learn a little bit more about their practices, their flow, and figure out what works best for them, because we don't want to just be the technology. We don't want to be just the CTO. We want to be the CIO. We want to be we want to be that person that provides a holistic value to them.
And my last question for you, because I mean, that was supposed to be the last question, but then you mentioned like, obviously the kind of services that you guys offer and everything. Would you say that you guys are like a one-stop shop for all things tech? And like, even if you don't necessarily know or offer a certain service, that you might be plugged into that environment and that kind of ecosystem, that you'd be able to put them in touch with someone that they could get those services from?
Yes. So let's say you're starting a company and you want to have an application developed specifically that helps you automate whatever. We wouldn't be the ones that would be developing the application. However, I've been fortunate enough that I know and I have enough relationships with application developers, whether it's on an Android platform, iOS platform, whatever the situation is, that I can be that intermediary, because we all know that tech jargon is tech jargon, and the general consumer's jargon, that's, they may as well be speaking completely different languages. I often see my value as being that person that can kind of interface with what they're saying and what this person's saying and make it all make sense. So yeah, I mean, we can help facilitate, like I said, whether it's application development. We don't do any website development either, but we can help, provide that relationship to be able to help it make sense for them and their business.
Perfect. Fantastic. So I'm like, whenever I interview someone, I'm always like, ding, 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 ding. We're going to have a lot of conversations in the future. Right, so my final question is always really just an opportunity for you to let everyone know the best way that they can reach out to you and start their conversations of their own.
Sure. So do I just like kind of pan out and like show the
I know, right?
With tree sign over here?
I have like
yeah, no. So I mean, obviously, using Zoom platform and me incorporating this virtual background, it has all of my contact information. Really, what we want to do is we want to come in and we offer free IT security audits. So we offer free opportunity to kind of look in and see where everything is, just so that way, again, you're an informed consumer, and we can provide our recommendations. You can turn and take it to your existing IT company. I'm a full believer in karma. If I do the right thing for the general public, for the city of Tulsa and its surrounding cities, that's just going to be better for me in the long run. So if there's any way that we can help provide value for that individual company, I'd love to do so.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jim, for your time. We really appreciate it, and all this information that we've been able to suck out of you in a very short amount of time.
Sounds good. Absolutely. Thank you.
And then, of course, thank you to everyone listening. If you're listening to this podcast or if you're watching this episode on YouTube, we appreciate you. Please follow, like, subscribe, any other and all other of those engagement words that will keep you plugged into what we're doing. We love hearing your feedback, who you want to see on here, questions that you want to have answered. We'll figure it all out for you and personalize just for you. Get at me if you want to give me some of that feedback. My email is bharlow@verifiednews.network. And easy peasy, if you want to check out more information about our network, you just go online to verifiednews.network. See, so easy. And then it's going to be on the screen too for you if you're on YouTube. I'll work on getting one of those nice fancy backgrounds. That looks really sharp. So thank you again, Jim. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And then, of course, make sure to tune in next time to hear the business scene, your source for all things connected to the Tulsa business scene.